Yeah, 100%. I've got a complex family structure. My mother is Croatian, my dad is German. I live in Belgium, my wife is British. I love Italian food. I love Greek literature. I love Shakespeare. Yes, and also recognizing things. The Renaissance in Italy is different from the Renaissance in Flanders, but when I go to a local museum and I see a certain style, and then I go to Pisa, and then there's a recognition, all right, there's a similar trends at the same time in different parts of the continent. Recognizing different events where people in Lisbon are football fanatic and people in Croatia are football fanatic as well. We don't watch wrestling, we don't watch monster trucks, we love football. There are some traits that are quite common and specific to the European way of life, I would say. I know that this question would be coming, so I thought about it yesterday evening, and in my case it's a bit of a story. It was very early in my life. I was 6 years old, I think. I went to primary school. It was back in 1981, and I grew up in a working class town right next to a huge chemical factory. And that factory had workers from all over the place. And all these people were the ones I went to school with, their children. And one of the first days at school, the teacher said, "You come from so many different countries, why don't you paint the flags of the countries where are you from?" And Tanya and Jörn, they would paint the German flag, and Paulo the Portuguese flag, and Antonio the Spanish flag. Antonella the Italian flag, and Sanja and I would paint the Yugoslav flag at this time because I liked it for aesthetic reasons with the star and everything. It was a bit of a special, beautiful flag. And a few days later, the teacher, she took us to a map of Europe, and she said, "Italy is here, Spain is there, here's Germany, West Germany at this time." And she said, "Do you see this big red country? And that is the Soviet Union. And this is just a small part of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union is much bigger." And that was the first time where I realized, okay, there's the concept of nations. The first time I realized that. And also that nations live together in one classroom. I find that Brexit is a big tragedy. As I said, my wife is British, my children are British. I came to love the British nation, and it's personally the feeling of a big loss, and I think that also for Europe it is a big loss. The best moment that I remember is in 1989, I think it must have been. There was a group of East German tourists who went to Czechoslovakia at this time, and they went to the embassy and wanted to get out to Western Europe. And the Czechoslovak politicians agreed to that, and the German foreign minister, he went there, and he announced it to the crowd that they can go out of the Iron Curtain, can go to the free world, and everybody jubilating, and that is still a very emotional moment for me when I remember this. That was a really big deal, and it was also very courageous by the Czechoslovak government to do that. In May, in this May, we celebrate 75 years of peace in Europe, and for me this is an amazing achievement, and it's certainly not the achievement of Europe alone. There were other factors at play, but I do believe that the European Union has contributed to that. And as I said, my mother comes from a country that was called Yugoslavia, so I have seen cousins of mine going to war. I've seen the effects of nationalism, of barbarism myself, not only from history books. And I'm really grateful that I live in such a prosperous and free society. And I believe that peace is the foundation of all of this. Without peace, we wouldn't have the wealth that we have now, and we wouldn't enjoy the freedoms that we have. I tend to look at bigger time scales. I was recently back to my school, but more to that age group that made its A level. And where I come from, the kids want more Europe. And I came there with the belief I need to motivate them. There was no need. I actually felt I have to slow them down and explain that not everywhere in Europe people think like you. But they said they are demanding. They said we want to put differences aside, and we want that more is being worked together. And I think we owe something to this generation, and so I think we have to look more in long term. What happens in 2050? How much has climate changed by then? How will China have developed by then? Will the Americans have sorted out the internal differences, and if so, how? And what is the relationship? So I think there are really long-term mega trends, and it's what I want the EU is to play a constructive and positive role in these long-term processes.